Congressman, we could spend all evening debating major issues. My question relates to a very tiny potential savings. Is there any way that Congress can impose restrictions on the growth of IRS? Because we hear a year or two ago when ObamaCare went in that IRS was going to be hiring 120,000 new examiners just to enforce ObamaCare. Is there anything Congress can do on almost a micro level, agency by agency, to say, stop the growth?
Well, there's a couple of things. In the health care bill that was passed, there were a certain number of employees added to IRS. I'm not sure if the number was, as you stated, 120,000, but I can check into it and look. I thought it was less than that. But that being said, the question is about essentially how do you sort of control costs with the size and scope of this agency or any other agency. There's a couple of things that have been done. There's a few things that can continue to be done. First off, I'm a big fan of auditing any agency. I mean, anytime your taxpayer dollars go to fund something, we ought to make sure that those dollars are being spent effectively and efficiently and for the program in which it's intended. And we want to maximize that every dollar that is spent on the program and make sure it goes to its intended use. So auditing different programs and agencies makes a lot of sense. And we haven't done a lot of that. GAO just released in the last 6 weeks or so a report on I think it was 3 or 4 agencies. They're going to continue those audits for each and every agency, in which they report back to Congress the cost savings or duplicative programs that have been cited by myself, that have been cited by the President, and again, there's agreement there, there's bipartisan agreement that those things ought to be limited. That's only part of the savings program or savings plan. When we have a $1.6 trillion deficit, which is where we are today, and a $14 trillion debt, savings, efficiencies is part of it. But we have to have a national conversation about where the remainder of those savings are going to come from. And I've heard from lots of people that they want everything on the table for review. I've heard from people that they'd like to see the country get back into balance. And I suspect most people here, while we have varying views on different programs, that we probably do want to see the country in balance. So that's got to be the goal. It has to be through good government, effectiveness, efficiency. So we're going to continue those audits. Let me give you an example. It's been identified that we've got about $38 billion in wrong payments in the entitlement system, improper payments. And we're only right now recouping about $2 billion of those improper payments. Imagine if you had 100%, you could reduce that number significantly and put that money back into the program itself to preserve it. Those are the things that I think are important, whether you're 73, 63, 53, or 3 years old, to make sure that those dollars we're spending are spent for its original intention and to make sure that we're doing it effectively and efficiently. So we will continue to complete those audits. Bills will then come forward in the House to remove those either redundant, duplicative programs. And I think you will see bipartisan support for that in the House. And the President has asked that the House and Senate focus on this. And you'll see areas where the House, the Senate, and the President agree and continue reducing the trajectory of spending and get it back closer to balance.